This is a fictional mind bender. I am going to make the argument that there were actually two endings to Attack on Titan that played out. And I'll explain why that is. And you can let me know in the comments below if you think that's sound or if you think it's not. Now, I want to start off first by saying that this is not some sort of claim that this was officially the plan, as it were, but rather how the in-universe plot plays out. Having said that, one ending is clearly more happier than the other, with the one that we're already familiar with being bittersweet. Now, having said that, the reason why I'm saying that there are two endings that have played out is because both revolve around one particular point in time in history where one converts into the other, where the story changes from one into almost an entirely different story afterwards, and that point in time being the kiss of Historia's hand. Now, as we know, Eren kissing Historia's hand at the end of Season 3 basically overloads his mind with the future, all the possible events that could occur and whatnot. And from that point on, his mental state just starts to go downhill, becomes much more cynical, much more depressed, and much less hopeful, because he's basically overloaded with all these memories and as well as possible futures, and all of them just being dark as hell. And that even though he's trying to search for a way out of that inevitability, he can't, which is why when we see him at the end of the last episode from this past weekend, he pretty much looks like fucking hell. Having said that, it's important to note that right up until that point, however, Eren was fine, okay? Because if we recall, the original point to Eren's story in Attack on Titan was to kill all Titans and basically free his home from the reign of the Titans so that people didn't have to live in fear of getting eaten, basically. And by the end of Season 3, he has accomplished this. He has taken back his home of Shigashina. All his friends, pretty much, that have survived up to that point anyway, are still alive. So Sasha is still alive at this point. And he has now gotten the key to the basement, which has basically giving him full knowledge of his people's past, well, mostly full knowledge of his people's past, as well as a sense of who his father actually was. And obviously, there is a sense of turmoil about that because he's kind of conflicted at this point, having gotten all this new information. But after he speaks with his old sergeant, he pretty much seems to have come to a sense of peace about himself and about who he is. He doesn't feel cursed, as it were. And he doesn't feel, or seem at least, as like the angry young man that he started the series out with. Rather, he seems much more mature, much more centered as a person, and much more calm. So that by that point, things have pretty much worked out. Paradise Island is now safe. His people are now safe. His friends, for the most part, are pretty much still alive. And he is still alive, albeit with the 4-year time limit. So, you could almost end Attack on Titan on that point. But, like I just said, after he kisses Historia's hand, he starts to change. And that's when the story starts to take the much darker turn than it already was before that. Because remember, the series is about giants eating people. So there you are. Now, the reason why I say that particular point, and that particular ending, quote unquote, is the good one, I guess you can say, is because it does end on that brighter note. While the true ending, as it were, the darker ending, ends on the bittersweet note, where Eren has basically made the sacrifice, as it were, and had to die after he just committed genocide, basically. And some of his friends have still died, as well as that he doesn't end up with Mikasa like he says that he wanted, etc., etc. You can argue that if he had not kissed Historia's hand, that he may have gotten all those things. His friends still being alive. Perhaps he would have ended up with Mikasa, not that that should be a main point. But either way, it was a much better point to stop off at if you wanted the happier ending. And honestly, I almost recommend people that If the current ending is just too dark and too sad for you, watch a rerun of Attack on Titan and then stop at that point before he kisses Historia's hand, because that's when everything goes to shit. But having said that, what do you guys think? Do you think that's a solid theory? Do you think it actually would have played out and would have been better for Eren and his friends and his people? Or do you think that not much would have really changed and that the true ending that we just got is the ending that should have happened? Let me know in the comments below, but this is the Fictional Mindbender, and you guys have a good day.